Hey up everyone and welcome to Political Nerds. I'm Steph the Alter Nerd, your nerdy political guide from Washington DC to Westminster and beyond. Now of course, before I jump into this, the usual disclaimer. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and I'm not inciting hatred to anyone or particular group, religion, etc. So, in today's episode, I'm thrilled to be chatting with Ridvan Adamir, better known as the Apostate Prophet, across X and YouTube. And guys, trust me, by the time we're done, you'll be eager to hit that follow and subscribe button. So I've got all his links ready in the description bar below. His X bio confirms that he is an ex-Muslim, Christian, fact checker, and a satiritist. So thank you so much, Ridvan, for joining today. Really appreciate it. In this opening segment of our conversation, we're going to dive into your views on Islamophobia. So first up, what does Islamophobia actually mean to you?
First off, thank you so much for having me, Steph. Really appreciate being here. It's going to be fun. Um, let's talk about Islamophobia. So, Islamophobia, initially, in the early phases of the term being coming into existence and being used in the 19th and 20th century, it was actually not meant to be a term that is used in a derogatory way as it is used today. So it was actually a term that was used in a rather neutral or even justified way when Europeans or certain Europeans who began using it referred to their aversion to Islam or their hostility toward Islam or their caution toward Islam because they were dealing with it, especially the colonialists and others, and they knew that it was a very hostile religion that also they defended themselves against in Europe for over 1,000 years. Unfortunately, over the last century, especially over the last half century, there was a great shift which was pushed by certain Muslim groups to change the definition of it and to make it into something that is just purely morally bad. Islamophobia. You should not be um, afraid of Islam. You should not be prejudiced toward Islam. You should not be, you should not have these bad opinions about Islam, not viewed in a stereotypical way, and all that. And this kind of happened with Islam organizing itself more in a modern sense, with Muslims creating their own rights organizations and global organizations. And then 9/11 happens, and then the West has a completely has their attention fully on Islam. Then George W. Bush comes out and says Islam is a religion of peace because he wants to calm the population that is really, really angry at Muslims in general. And things start going really downhill from there on. But from that point on, this idea was hammered into our heads, which is that when we speak about Islam, we are supposed to view it as just another religion that is misunderstood, and that might be manifesting itself in violent and bad ways, probably because we are doing something to it, or probably because of the West, probably because the West is bombing Muslim nations, probably because Western people are ignorant and prejudiced and all that. And this narrative has really taken over in the West and has become dominant, especially among the elite, the media, the left, and all these people. But it is a very stupid trick, and it is a something that you could attribute to being a useful idiot, honestly. Um, Western people have become useful idiots by adopting this way of thinking and then playing cover for Islam. And the Islamists or the Muslims have freely and lovingly taken advantage of this and adopted this term because it really plays into their hands to say, oh, anyone who is against Islam or who is against Muslims is just Islamophobic, and being Islamophobic is naturally bad. Everyone knows it. But people had good reasons to be against Islam. People had good reasons to be cautious toward Muslims. European history is over the last 1,000, nearly 1,400 years, especially the last 1,000 years, were occupied with Western Christian nations defending themselves against violent Islamic invasions. It started in the 800s, in the 900s, in the thousands. Then the Ottoman conquest, which kept on pushing into Europe, and Europeans defending themselves. The Eastern Christians, the Eastern Orthodox Christians, were very much overran, although they put up a very harsh fight against the invading Muslim forces. The Western Europeans stood strong and could repel them more often, but it was very clear to them that Islam is an invading force that is hell bent on taking over. And it was a glorious thing for Western people and for Christian people to stand strong and to stand against it. This was done for God. It was like it is literally found in the writings and the sayings of the, like, during the First Crusade of the Vatican, of the Pope, which is very, very funny. Compare the Vatican then to today. Back then, it was like the Pope gave this whole speech of these godless, ruthless people slaughtering our Christians, and wanting to end our faith and wanting to kill us all. And it is our mission for God to stand strong and to stand against it and all that. That was basically the sentiment back then. Now it's like, oh, we shouldn't have any prejudice toward Islam. Islam is good. They also believe in God and so on. The thing is, Islam didn't change over all these years, over all those centuries, over 1,400 years. Islam was tamed in the last century, at the beginning of the last century, because Islam was, as a force, as a major political force, as a caliphate led by the Ottoman Empire at that point. And the Ottoman Empire, which was the head of Islam, got into the First World War and was on the losing side, and lost against the Western powers, against the British and the French and all that. At which point the Ottoman Empire was defeated and it crumbled and it was shattered. With the Ottoman Empire being defeated and shattering, the caliphate, which was considered the global head of Islam, was also shattered. So Muslims were suddenly left without global leadership and became nation states. However, and this is why there is currently no global universal mission by Muslims to continue the conquests, because they are divided against their will. There is, however, still a very, very popular mindset among Muslims that the caliphate must rise again, and that in the future it will rise again, and that Allah will give Muslims the power again to rise up and to continue the spread of Islam. And you have people in the UK and in other places openly saying that that is what they want. And you have people like, maybe I shouldn't name names now, but you have very popular people in the UK actually recently saying that it should be the goal of Muslims to soon have a Muslim prime minister in England, and also to have Muslim prime ministers in other Christian countries, and that this would be part of the plan of reviving the global Islamic power. So this attempt, this goal, this pursuit to dominate and to take over and to turn everyone into Muslims and to subjugate the people and to implement Islamic law is still very, very much alive. It is just not as powerful as it used to be, but they are trying to make it as powerful as it was again. And just as Islamophobia was justified back then, today, although it is considered a morally bad or questionable thing, it should be, in a sense, again justified today. And I would say that, considering that Islam is a very violent and hostile religion, which also directly preaches that I, as an apostate from Islam, should be executed, I would say that Islamophobia, if we are speaking about opposing Islam and being very skeptical toward Islam and Muslims, is entirely justified. And currently, the meaning of it is trying to be, there is an attempt to switch the meaning of it into some form of prejudiced racism or something like that, which is complete nonsense.
And
I can
so,
go on
in
forever,
terms
but
of like the recent kind of known version of Islamophobia as to what it is, let's say, quote unquote, known for today, thanks to the lefties, the woke, more Labour government over here and all that malarkey. What do you think the true purpose of Islamophobia really is for the people in the UK and the rest of the world?
well, I would say it is quite sinister, but it's also not that much of a secret. there are some people who view this whole thing a little bit from a poor angle, and they think that there is a great conspiracy here at play, and that there are people behind closed doors trying to weaken your society and take over and all that. I would say that that is not really true. It is much simpler than that. You had the conservative government, right, in the UK, actually go ahead and try to make the steps to introduce the term Islamophobia and to define what Islamophobia is. And they did it under repeated pressure and repeated demands from Muslim organizations. And why do they do that? Why do they cave into it? Because I'm sorry to say it, but it's not simply a left versus right issue. It is a political issue, a human issue, a power issue. Even on the right, or even among the center, not just among the left, you will have politicians who, when their country is filled with more and more Muslims who take more and more power and have more and more a say in politics and the world, you will have people who will try to slowly, despite being politically opposed to them, slowly try to cater to their demands and try to do some of the things that they want in order to satisfy them and get their votes, because they want to stay in power, and they will see it as a compromise. So the conservatives very much also engaged in that. They wanted to do certain things for the Muslims that the Muslims wanted, because the Muslim vote is no longer a joke; it is actually a relevant vote. So they want to give into it, and they want to maybe some of them justify it to themselves and think, oh yeah, it's just this one thing, and we will just have to make sure that that they don't overstep, and that we make sure that we still have free speech and all that. You can't really do that. You're you're giving in to their demands bit by bit by bit by bit. Now you have the Labour Party come in, and the Labour Party ran with it. It was on one of their promises to the Muslim community when they ran with it and said that that they pledge to to work on the working definition of Islamophobia. They did this in order to get more Muslim votes, right? They didn't do this because they have this secret plan to destroy the West. They did it to get more of the Muslim votes. The bad stuff here is with the Muslim votes and the Muslim voters and their organizations. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care about your Western values. They don't care about your British values or your Christian values. They care about Islam, about furthering the goals of Islam. And you cannot further the goals of Islam in a Western, Christian, or British nation. It will be your downfall in the end.
Well, that's a great segue into the next episode with Ridvan Adamir, the apostate prophet, as we are going to go into the Labour government's attempt at defining Islamophobia and what he really does think to that. So, guys, if you appreciated what Ridvan says, and of course you did, then make sure you're following him on X at apostate prophet. Also, as well on YouTube, same thing, apostate prophet. And if you want more from me, and of course you do, make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe here at Political Nerds. If you're watching on X, make sure you're following me at Steph Alter Nerd. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatever's. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.